evening, bonsoir, hola. This is Chioma, and I have something that I think you guys would like to see. But the question is, are you ready? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's Sam Paul again. Cheers on. And you are welcome to the 10th episode of Chill TV. This program I'm coming to you with is called Asking Them, Knowing Me, Knowing You. It's a forum where we come together and ask questions. And then this is something I get to you know, you have to ask questions and someone will answer. And I have here with me one guy. He says it's running. Running for what? I don't know. Do you know? We're going to find out tonight. Where he's going, where he's running. His name is what? Malcolm Hadi.
Good evening, Chiga.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Very good. Now, Malcolm, tell us, first of all, who are you? And most importantly, where are you running?
Well, my name is Dr. Malcolm Fabi, and I'm the FCT senatorial candidate for a party called the National Transformation Party.
National Transformation
Party.
Meaning you have an agenda, you know, to transform this place.
Definitely.
Yes, I get it. I'm going to start with my guy over here, you know, he's on orange. Yes, he's going to ask a question.
Dr. Fabi, you're running on a platform of a small party. What chances do you think you have?
Well, thank you very much for that question. The truth is I get that question a lot. When I tell people that I'm running for the Senate from the FCT, the first question I get is whether I'm in the PDP. When I tell people no, they ask me if I'm in the I.mp4. If I say no to that question, they ask me if I'm in the CPC. If I say no to that question, they might ask me if I'm in the ACN. Those are the big four parties. And when I say no to all of that, if the person is polite, he extends the hand and tells me, God bless me. What they're really saying is, you've got to be crazy. If they're not that polite and they shoot from the hip, they tell you straight out that they don't think or believe that you have a chance. I think there are two fundamental problems with our politics. The first one is that Nigerian political parties are fundamentally non-ideological. If I was in the US and somebody told me that he was a Democrat, even without knowing that person, I would fundamentally be able to describe about 80% of what that person believes ideologically. If I'm in the UK and somebody tells me they belong to the Tory party, I would be able to, again, reasonably within an 80 to 90% level of accuracy, be able to tell you what that person believes. And I believe that politics should not be, yes, an aspect of politics should be pragmatic, but I believe that ideology and beliefs should guide what we do politically. And the second fundamental point is this: the truth of the matter is that big party or small party, I don't even believe it matters at all in a place like Abuja. So let's look at the numbers. First of all, there are about 6 million people who live in the FCT. Roughly, if you look at the 2007 numbers, about 850,000 people registered to vote. In the last registration exercise, about 940,000 people registered to vote. Nobody that has ever run for the Senate, which is a citywide election in the FCT, has ever received more than 75,000 votes. The current occupant of the Senate from the FCT won office with 46,700 votes. I mean, 1% of 6 million is 60,000. So the reality is that the numbers tell us a different story. The numbers tell us that it doesn't matter whether you're a small party or a big party. The fundamental challenge that you have as a politician is to make sure you're engaging people, is to make sure that they understand the issues. And I believe that if we do the right things politically, if we go after constituencies, if we go after individuals, if we spread our message, if we make people understand what plans and programs we have for the FCT, that we, regardless of the size of our party, can actually win this race.
That's a big wow to me, you get it? You think that you need to hold FCT, only 46,700 people came out to vote. That is a total unadulterated waste. I will have to do something about that. Anyway, let's move on. Next, where's my guy? Is it you? You are the next question. Yeah. Ask it, please.
My question is very simple, and I guess every other person will ask the same. What has prepared you for the Senate of the FCT?
Thank you very much. That's another great question. And the question is, what has prepared me to believe that I can be an effective senator for the FCT? I think there are two fundamental things that one needs to have to be an effective person in politics. The first is to really have a calling for what one wants to do. I believe that politics is not a career. It really is a calling. And I'll speak to that a bit more. And the second one is to be prepared for the work you're supposed to do. So let's start with the second aspect of the question first. There are about 80 plus things that the Constitution. Well, thank you very much. That's a very important question. And the question fundamentally is asking to know what it is that makes me believe I can be an effective senator for the FCT. I think there are a two-part answer to that question. The first one is to fundamentally determine what it is that makes me believe that I have what it takes to be an effective political officer for the FCT. I believe fundamentally that politics is not a career, it's a calling. And I'll speak to some of the things that makes me believe that I'll fundamentally be effective in the calling to politics. Now, I've been in politics for about 20 years. My entry to politics began as a student activist. I think for many people who remember what the late 80s and the early 90s were like, the fundamental challenges we had in Nigeria at the time was a question of finding a way to get the military out of office, to get the military out of politics, and to restore democracy. And for those, again, who remember the history of the period, the labor movement, which used to be the fundamental movement that drove the process of change in Nigeria, was dead. Labor essentially had been crippled. And then the pro-democracy activists of the time were either in jail or in exile. So we remember that people like Ransom Kuti, people like Femi Falana, and definitely people like Gani Fawehinmi were mostly all in jail at the time. And the task at the time fell to Nigerian students, Nigeria's young people, to find a way to fight the struggles of the period. I was a Students' Union president at the University of Lagos. We were at the forefront of those struggles. And when we got into politics, there was nothing attractive about being in politics. Being in politics was a sacrifice. That's when we got in. And one of the things I tell people and I ask them is that when they tell me that politicians disappoint them now, what I say to them is that when